This video is simply a video showing the navigation around DirecTV Stream. Now, just to keep in mind that I was using the DirecTV Stream box or device that they provided and the included remote with it. And both of those are really needed in order to do this demonstration. So see what you think as I take you around and navigate through DirecTV Stream. We're going to show you some navigation today using the DirecTV device, the DirecTV remote. The home button is important, so no matter where you are, you can always press that home button and you can go to the home screen. Your live guide, and the list will be your recordings. And this is just a nice area to maneuver back and forth and around. On the very bottom here it says apps. We'll show you that also. That's also an important button. This one right here is actually the Google microphone or Google Assistant. So if you press that, and we'll show you that also, you can easily tell Google what you'd like to see, what you'd like to switch to. And the record button, the single record button is up there. So again, this has a number pad, which is somewhat unusual on streaming devices, but even that comes in handy. So here we go. First thing is we're going to press the on button and turn the TV on. And there we go. It came on. It turns out that this is not the DirecTV Stream input. So if you remember, I mentioned that we have that input button. So if you have multiple devices on your connected to your TV, this could happen. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to press the input button on the remote. And once we do that, you'll see a series of inputs show up on the bottom of the screen. So here's the input button. So there it is. Now we press the input button. And now if you press it again, and again, and again, right there, now we press OK, because this is where we hooked up our DirecTV Stream. So here we are. So again, you'd have to use your input button if you have multiple devices connected and somehow it turns on to the wrong device. So here we are, and now let us show you what happens when we hit the when we press the home button. So here you go. So everything that you really need is here on the home button. So we're gonna go through the menu here for you. We'll start on the upper left at guide. And so let's take a look at what the guide looks like. So there's the guide. This happens to be in numerical sequence, and you could also put it in a different alphabetical sequence if you'd like. So you could sort it on the side as you see there. So that's really nice. Because we're using this remote with the number pad, we'll leave it on the numbers. So let's show you a thing called favorites. So we're going to just arbitrarily pick 2 or 3 channels, and if you go to the channel and hold it, you see the heart light up on the channel, and we'll get another couple and maybe one more, and that's it. We have just now made 3 channels favorites. So if you want on your guide to just have a much smaller guide with the things that you enjoy, if you go down to favorites now, those 3 channels are now in our guide. So that was very easy to do, very simple to do, no issue. I'll also mention that there is a back button on the remote. So if you ever want to go back to something that you had just done or were going to do, just press the back button and it'll take you back to the menu you were on before you did this. So let's take a look. So this is the guide, and again, a couple things about the guide. We'll go ahead and press guide, and so here's all the channels, and a couple things here to show you. If you go to the guide and you go to the show that's on right now, so now we'll press this show that's currently on, And when you do that, if you, on the remote, there's 3 dots on the remote. And if you press those 3 dots, you come up with a small menu. And you could restart it from the beginning, which is really nice. And as you can see here, it brought it all the way back to the beginning. So you could press back again here. So we could show you again. We'll go to that show and press the 3 dots. And you could record it if you want. You could either record just this show, or you could record the entire series. It's very simple to do. So we'll go back again. And again, pressing the 3 dots. You could also bookmark, and we're going to show you what that means. So we're going to bookmark this. Oh, so we have the bookmark on, and we're recording it. So we're going to show you in a moment what all that looks like as we get to it. So now you see how we went to the guide, we found the show, we did a recording, and we bookmarked it, all in a very simple order. So now we'll go back to the home. And so we're now on a thing called Watch Now. So this is pretty interesting, is Watch Now has several lines in it. The first one just shows you a series of shows that are on right now that you can kind of go to. It looks like it might be based on things we've looked at so far. And then the next one is to continue watching. So if you were watching something, it gives you the option to go back and continue watching it. And then it goes into categories. So there'll be sports, what's live and what's upcoming. And then, of course, there's always the new releases to rent or buy, or the top movies to rent or buy, etc. And then live TV that, based on what you watch, they think you may or may not like. So you can go to those and you could record them or do whatever you want with them. And what's trending, what they see going on. Specials for the month. And we'll talk a little bit about the cloud DVR later on, but you could see you could set your cloud DVR. So there's a few. Go back to home. And so we've looked at the guide, we've looked at Watch Now. Let's go to my library. So this is where your recordings are. So you could see we just recorded this show, if you remember. And there it is, Down Home Fab. And you could see that the next one is recording, and we're recording the series there. And these are just arbitrary that we just tested, and a few others. So there's what the recordings look like, and we'll pick one of them, and we'll show you. So this, if you go to the first slide, these are all the recordings that we have on there. It shows you the status, how many have already recorded. And you can click on one of them, and here's 8 that recorded from this one show. And if you see on the right, there's a little garbage pail. You could click over to the right if you want to delete that, and just simply press OK, and it will delete that. Up on the top, you could see it says you could stop recording the series. So if you say, I don't want to record anymore, you don't have to. And when you record, one of the options you do get as you're recording a show is whether you want to record all episodes or just new episodes. So that's a nice thing to have. So now we'll go ahead, we'll go all the way back. We'll go back a button here. So we'll press the back button. And now if we go down, do you remember we mentioned bookmarks? Well, there you go. Remember we bookmarked that show. It's something that we're interested in, maybe. We're not 100% sure. So this way we can say, oh, if you want to remember a show that you were interested in, you could put it in bookmarks, and this is where it ends up. So now we'll go back to home. And we did guide, Watch Now, My Library. Now we're going to do sports. Now this depends on what package, sports package you have, but I put in some teams here, and I just arbitrarily put the teams in from several different sports. And so if you look above it, sure enough, it does show one of those teams with the game coming up today at 8. So it shows the sports that's both live and coming up. That's very nice. Now, if you go down to the teams that you picked, we'll go to the second one, Notre Dame. And if you click on that, what it tells you is if there's any shows coming up with that. And sure enough, there's one coming up Saturday evening, and then there's another one coming up a week later. So it takes the teams that you're interested in and allows you to almost put together a guide for those teams. So we'll go back to home. So that was sports. And the next one is on demand. Now, on demand is really nice in a couple of ways. One is you could look at different networks, you could look at movies, you could look at TV shows. Of course, wherever you see the word premium, it means that it's a pay. But as you go through this menu, home screen, and here's new releases you could rent or buy. There's top movies to rent or buy. We saw a little bit of that before. Popular TV shows, popular movies. These are shows that you don't need to buy. Then you go down to movies that are on sale, lower price. So a lot here. But then if you keep going down, you're going to come up to TV shows that you may like, you may want to watch, or etc. In a lot of cases where they're free, you could just watch it. The only thing you could record it or you could download it. So we'll pick that first one. And so when it goes to that, you could view the episodes, you could record the series, and of course you could bookmark it. The key here is whenever you have an on-demand item, no matter what it is, if it has any advertising in it, you cannot fast forward through it. You can fast forward through whatever you record off the guide, but in this case, you would not be able to fast forward through it. But the on-demand is really good if there's an old TV series you want to watch or a show that you've missed that you want to go back and see. It's very simple to do, and there is a search that you could use also. So we'll go ahead back to home. So that was on demand. Now the next one is apps, and you can get to apps in two ways. One is on your remote, you could press apps, or two is here, you can go to the menu and you could press apps. If you take apps, and to show you how many apps are on here, so now we've clicked on Get More Apps, which was on the bottom right, and you've gone to the Google Play Store. This is one of the reasons it's good to have a Google account. So if it'll show you the apps that you have, now it'll show you apps that you could download. So if you go down on this, and I'm just going to pick news, go all the way down to app categories, and we're going to go over to news and magazines. And here you have hundreds of news channels that you could download. Most of them are free. You'd have to double check, of course. But what's nice about this is if you're interested in a town that you grew up in, or maybe where you live and you're just visiting someplace else, etc., you could find a lot of local channels here, a lot of channels around the world with the news, and you could just kind of keep crawling through this. And as you could see, there are so many channels, and all you have to do is click on one of them. You download the channel, it goes to the device. You would install it. It would be on a device, and it would wind up being one of your channels, one of your apps that you'll be able to use on this device. So this is really nice. And again, this has to do with the Google Play Store and the Google account. And please remember, your Google accounts are free to get if you need them. So we're going to go back to the home screen, and we're going to go to the Google button, and we're going to ask it to find something. Or we're just going to tell it to switch to ESPN.
ESPN.
There you go. Now, not only is that nice, at the same time, you could tell it to record a specific show. So let's go ahead and tell it to record
Sports Center.
So as you can see, we just simply said record Sports Center. And there you go. Right now, it has added it to our library. So it has told, the Google Assistant has told the device to please record Sports Center. So obviously there's no shows on just now, but we'll go to upcoming. And there it is. We've gone to upcoming, and there are all the Sports Center shows that are coming up, and they're all going to be recorded. So it was as simple as that. We didn't have to switch to the channel or anything. We just said we really want to just record that channel. So there is a quick look and navigation of the using the DirecTV Stream remote. We went around a number of different things to do, but if you have the device, I highly recommend you use the remote that came with it. It's so much easier to use. I hope you enjoyed that, and that's just the basic beginnings of DirecTV Stream, but it's very, very easy to use. I was very impressed by all the functions on the remote that was included. It does also include the HDMI cable, which is also nice to have. So overall, I was very pleased. It was also my first time navigating.